We begin tonight with live pictures over the downtown Dayton area on our Eco Plumber Skycam. This says city leaders announced an investment with recovery plan funding dollars into two local organizations.
Now that money will go towards the On Purpose Academy and the Miami Valley Urban League. Gwyneth Falloon spoke with both those organizations and is live downtown tonight. And Gwen, how much money are they going to be getting?
Megan, the city has dedicated a total of $1.75 million in investments on Purpose Academy, which is a program, a year-round preschool, that focuses on early childhood education, is receiving $250,000. The Miami Valley Urban League, which offers workforce development and technical support to startups, is receiving the remaining $1.5 million.
So, Gwen, what do they plan to do with that money then?
Megan, On Purpose told me they have plans to launch what they're calling Pop-Up Preschool, or PUP, in August to help make early childhood education more accessible to underserved communities. And then beginning in March, the Urban League is planning on starting to offer micro grants of up to $10,000 to women and minority-owned businesses.
They can use these funds to leverage a lot of other resources and opportunities that are taking place in Dayton around, the First Floor Fund or, other micro loan programs and things like that to help them start or scale up their businesses.
For more information on either program, you can visit our website. That's Dayton247now.com. I'll send things back to you.
All right, Gwen, thanks. Well, if you stepped outside, you know the answer to this. It is very cold. It's nasty in some ways, I would say. Current temperatures in the teens. But we do have some warmer temperatures on the horizon.
We do.
Nearby.
Yeah, in fact, we're almost at our lowest point over these next 7 days for us. We have teens out there currently, 15 in Dayton, 12 in Urbana, with our wind chill. Little bit of a wind chill out there. Factoring that in, it does feel a little colder. It feels like 6 in Dayton. Just 1 is what it feels like in Springfield at this hour. But for the most part, the winds aren't too strong, but they are going to kick up. We're going to start to see breezier conditions as we head into this weekend. But for tonight, dropping down to 12 for overnight low temperature. Wind chills in the single digits with our southerly wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. So it is going to be a chilly one tonight, but I do have 50s in the forecast. I'll let you know when coming up.
Natalie, thanks. You may remember when we first showed you this body camera video in July. Officers in Dayton responded to a domestic dispute on Burley Avenue. Now, in the video, 31-year-old Aisha Nelson is seen showing concern for her boyfriend, who threatened her with a gun. Police left that home without arresting anyone, and hours later, Nelson and her 6-year-old child were found dead. In an investigation into that domestic violence call has now led to 2 officers being suspended. Officers Terrell Moore and Catherine Santos are suspended for 160 hours. Will have to undergo domestic abuse training. Melena Brown spoke with the family attorney regarding the suspension and explains what he had to say.
Today, Michael Wright, one of the attorneys for the Nelson family, said that the consequences that officers Terrell Moore and Catherine Santos are facing are not enough for what their lack of action resulted in.
We are requesting and we're demanding that these officers be immediately terminated, not given a 30-day suspension and retraining. 2 lives were lost because of their reckless behavior and they're not following the protocols and procedures of this department.
Attorney Wright says that they are continuing their lawsuit against the police department and the city of Dayton. We reached out to the Dayton Police Department for an interview, but they told us they cannot comment on pending litigation. For Dayton 24/7 Now News, I'm Melena Brown.
Melena, thanks. Now here's everything you need to know about this situation. Several 911 calls were made from this Burley Avenue home on June 22nd and again after midnight on June 23rd. Officers arrived at the home after Nelson's boyfriend Waverly Halls called dispatch. At 1:40 in the morning, police arrived. They spent an hour at the home before leaving. Now later that day, officers found the bodies of Nelson and her 6-year-old daughter Harper. Halls was then found later dead in Alabama after shooting himself. In December, the family filed that wrongful death lawsuit against the officers, and that takes us all the way to today, where the department announced the suspension of the 2 officers.
In a release sent to our newsroom, the department says, quote, the investigation concluded that officers Moore and Santos should have completed a crime report for domestic violence and should have seized the deadly weapon as contraband per department policy. And you can see all of our coverage of the lawsuit and the suspension on our website, Dayton247now.com. You can find that story near the top of the homepage.
Well, a Dayton man is facing several charges tonight after a crash killed at least one person. 27-year-old Corey Harbarger is facing aggravated homicide and voluntary manslaughter, OVI charges, and more after being accused of leading officers on a chase. That chase ended after officials say Harbarger crashed into several other cars here along Brant Pike. You can see the fiery aftermath that resulted. Now, at least 2 people were seriously hurt, including 68-year-old Stephen Carlson, who died days after the crash. At this moment, Harbarger is being held on $1.5 million bond. He's expected to appear in court on Tuesday.
The Dayton Police Department providing an update on recent car thefts this evening. Lydia Bice live at the Now Desk. Lydia, what's the latest on these car break-ins?
Well, Adam, since Dayton Police and other local departments came together for their planned auto theft joint operations last October, they've recovered 44 stolen vehicles. They've also made 45 apprehensions for grand theft auto.
So how many arrests have they made since that date?
Dayton Police say that they've made 11 arrests, or numerous arrests, I should say, for these car thefts and other offenses. They also said that they've recovered 11 firearms and plenty of illegal drugs such as meth and fentanyl. Back to you.
Lydia, thanks so much. Take a look at this video was captured in Missouri this afternoon of a suspected Chinese spy balloon. The Pentagon says this is over the central U.S. and now moving east. Officials say it's flying at about 60,000 feet and does not pose a threat to people on the ground. The Pentagon estimates it will likely be over the U.S. for several more days. China's foreign ministry claims it's a civilian airship used mainly for weather research. The Pentagon, though, doesn't buy it.
We know that it's a surveillance balloon, and I'm not going to be able to be more specific than that. We do know that the balloon has violated U.S. airspace and international law, which is unacceptable. And so we've conveyed this directly to the PRC at multiple levels.
Pentagon Press Secretary Patrick Ryder describes it as a maneuverable craft. He notes it has changed course during its journey but declined to give additional details. Ryder says the military ruled out shooting down the balloon due to the potential danger that the debris could pose to people on the ground. And the Pentagon is confirming tonight that there is another balloon that's currently in Latin America. The Pentagon says it's seeing reports of the balloon. This despite officials not knowing exactly where in Latin America it is. U.S. officials say this balloon does not appear to be heading to the U.S.
Live look at the Ohio Department of Health's COVID-19 dashboard now. You can see there have been close to 8,300 new cases reported in just the last week. So ODH held a news conference today. It was the first one since President Biden announced he plans to end the twin national emergencies for COVID-19 on May 11th. ODH Director Dr. Bruce Vanderhoff says COVID is still very real and still poses a significant risk to unvaccinated people. He continues to encourage everyone to get their COVID shots and boosters.
A booster might not prevent you from catching COVID-19, but it sure will help you fight the bug and give you a much better chance of avoiding getting really sick or dying from COVID-19.
This comes as ODH reports only 15% of Ohioans have gotten their updated booster shots. Dr. Vanderhoff adds that around 100 deaths a week in the state are preventable.
A misdemeanor charge against Bengals running back Joe Mixon has been dropped. Mixon was charged with aggravated menacing after being accused of pointing a gun at a woman the same day the Bengals left to fly to Buffalo to play the Bills in the playoffs. Now, as we told you last night, an arrest warrant was issued for Mixon yesterday, but it was never executed. Cincinnati prosecutors explained the decision to drop those charges.
We're requesting dismissal because we need additional investigation before we would move forward with this case. The Cincinnati Police Department were able to get in contact with the victim. She understands the need to dismiss this case and the potential that we could refile this at a later date. She does still want to go forward with this charge if we do decide to refile it.
So what this means is that while the charge is gone today, that doesn't mean it won't be refiled at a later time.
And Cincinnati police releasing a statement in response to the Mixon charges. In it, they say the department instructed investigators to submit them for review before filing charges. They say the direction was not followed, and now the case has been reassigned. Later in that statement, the department says it'll continue to investigate that aggravated menacing allegation, saying, quote, the evidence will guide CPD's investigation and actions, and newly obtained evidence has since been recovered. Once all of it is fully examined, criminal charges can be refiled at a later date. Well, tonight the video is out and prosecutors are saying it clears officers of wrongdoing in the shooting death of Joe Frazier. Body camera footage shows two officers firing at Frazier's minivan as it barrels past them. At one point, prosecutors say it heads right at them. Luke Jones has more on that video from Monday morning's deadly encounter.
Put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the air. Hey, stop. Stop.
Joe Frazier Jr. kicking his minivan into gear as 3 Wyoming police officers order him to stop.
Stop. Get out of the car now.
Frazier ignores police commands and backs into a tree, then lurches forward.
Ryan, back up, Ryan. Back up, Ryan.
An officer leaps out of the way, but then 5 seconds later, 2 officers open fire as the minivan drives by.
The vehicle was speeding directly at both of them at one point, and then shots were fired as the vehicle was coming in close.
Frazier's sister tells us, quote, "The video footage released to the public was not a good account for what had happened. The full footage shows what really happened in a much clearer way," unquote. In Cincinnati, I'm Luke Jones.
CPR training kiosks popping up around the Miami Valley where you can learn to save a life in just 5 minutes.
And heart attack rates in younger adults. Coming up, the subtle warning signs cardiologists say you need to keep an eye on.
Plus, I'm tracking a warm-up for this weekend. I'll let you know how warm we'll get coming up. Here's a live look from our Eco Plumber Skycam. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
There were protests across the country and on the streets of Cincinnati in the summer of 2020 in the wake of the death of George Floyd at the hands of police in Minneapolis. According to a new report, the department made several mistakes during those protests. James Belcher shows us the recommendations it makes for future demonstrations.
When protests broke out nationwide over George Floyd's murder in 2020, Cincinnati was no different. But leaders here, including then Mayor John Cranley, took a hard line by issuing a citywide curfew. Over 10 days, CPD arrested more than 500 people for violating the curfew. That led to 37 complaints to the Citizens Complaint Authority, the civilian oversight agency set up to review police conduct in the wake of the 2001 riots. In a new report obtained by Local 12 to be officially released Monday, the CCA said 11 of those complaints were valid. The report included key observations about what took place during that period and recommendations for the future. CCA Executive Director Gabe Davis declined comment as the board has not seen the full report. CPD Chief Teresa Thici told the Cincinnati Enquirer the report mischaracterizes what officers did during the protests and that they did an extraordinary job keeping order. In Cincinnati, I'm James Pilcher.
Well, quiet weather, but cold weather across the Miami Valley this evening. We've seen a few clouds making their way through. Otherwise, nice, quiet weather as we really even head into this weekend. Is going to be on the calm side, but one thing we're going to notice are winds that pick up and temperatures climbing. So heading into early tomorrow morning, waking up to teens. I'm thinking even a little colder than this. Wind chills will certainly be colder than that, but close to 40 by the afternoon. Sunshine, but clouds do build in. By our day on Sunday, skies become mostly cloudy. We'll hang out in the 30s and eventually back up mid to upper 40s by our Sunday afternoon. So it does start to get even warmer. But as I mentioned, we have the winds. I'm going to talk about that and how warm we'll get into next week coming up.
Natalie, thanks. Well, you may have noticed that we're all dressed in red today. That's because today is National Wear Red Day to raise awareness about cardiovascular health. Every year, more than 350,000 cardiac arrests happen outside the hospital. And this year, the American Heart Association really wants to highlight women's heart health. The organization wants to educate you to not only take care of your own heart health, but all the women you know and love.
Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of women and will claim the lives of 1 in 3 women. And so it is so important and critical to make sure that we have those tools and resources made available to all of the women in our lives so that they can be as healthy and as strong as possible for as long as possible.
Now, a simple thing you can do is be trained in CPR, which can double or triple a person's chance of survival. Less than half the American population actually knows how to do it, so Kettering Health is helping to make training accessible to the Miami Valley. The Dayton area is actually getting its the very first American Heart Association mobile hands-only CPR training kiosk. It provides hands-only CPR training to the public in 5 minutes or less using a touchscreen video program and a mannequin. The kiosk opens at Wright State University this month and is then going to move to 9 different locations over the next 3 years. And you can learn more about heart health, CPR, and find a kiosk location at the American Heart Association's website. Just go to heart.org for all the resources you need. And in honor of American Heart Month, health experts are spreading awareness. Recent research finds of those who suffer a heart attack at a young age, 1 in 5 were 40 years or younger. That number is increasing. Cardiologists say it's important to know the signs regardless of your age. Now, the most common warning signs include chest discomfort, pain that radiates to the shoulder, back, neck, and jaw, shortness of breath, nausea, indigestion, and intense fatigue. Experts say it's important to monitor any changes in your body.
There is something acutely new in you and it doesn't make sense, then you want to seek immediate medical attention.
Health experts say it's also important for young people to focus on heart health. That means staying physically active, healthy eating, limiting alcohol, and not smoking. Heart disease risk increases with age, but experts say what is done in younger days impacts lifelong heart risks. Well, if you looked at the sky tonight, you may see an unusual light. A green comet visible for the first time in thousands of years is zooming past the Earth. Forecaster Tim Boyd is tracking its path for us. And Tim, what are our chances of seeing it?
Well, chances of seeing it right now are a little bit low. It actually appears a little dim and gray. You have to see it with a telescope or binoculars, especially because the light pollution in the trees. So if you want to see it, you're going to have to get away from a city area, maybe like a national park or something. You'll get the best view just like you would if you were heading out to do some regular stargazing. So what you want to do is if you're going to go out and try to see it, you want to go look east and then look directly above you, break your neck a little bit. Might strain you a little bit, but most of the night you should be able to see it. It's been at its highest glowing in the past about 24 hours, which will diminish through the night tonight and into the day tomorrow. Going to be cold though. Temperatures around 12 degrees and partly cloudy skies.
Yeah, it sure feels like 12 degrees. Well, that's a live look from our Eco Plumber Sky Cam tonight. We are out on our exclusive Watson's Weather patio. And as you can see by our breath, it is very cold. It is that 12 degrees for sure.
Yeah, feeling even colder, a little bit of a wind, and the winds kick up this weekend. Temperatures climb by next week, though. So, yeah, we're almost at our lowest point here. But heading through these next several days, we will start to see our temperatures climb for us. So back into the upper 40s by Monday. And then next week, we do start to see our temperatures climb even more, mid-50s by Tuesday, Wednesday, back into the lower 50s. But that's about 10 degrees above normal, if not more, for this time of the year. And we're also tracking some showers. No snow in our 7-day forecast, but I am going to have a look at that 7-day forecast, what the rest of the weekend is looking like coming up here in just a bit.
Natalie, thanks. A lawsuit cleared against Elon Musk today, why some Tesla investors thought he was trying to deceive them. And a preview for the Dayton Flyers game tomorrow against St. Bonaventure, how they look to continue their success in A10 play. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now. Decided Elon Musk did not deceive Tesla investors with his 2018 tweets about the electric automaker. 9 jurors made that verdict after less than 2 hours of deliberation. It follows a 3-week trial that pitted several Tesla investors against Musk. In 2018, Musk posted on Twitter plans to take Tesla private, even though he did not have the funding secured. Now, the plaintiffs claim his post cost them billions of dollars in damages.
Key Bank and the Voluntary Income Tax Assistance Coalition are teaming up for the Super Refund Saturday to help those who want assistance paying their taxes. It's happening tomorrow at the Job Center on Edwin C. Moses Boulevard from 9 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. It's a way to give help to working taxpayers so they can take advantage of the Earned Income Tax Credit and the Child Tax Credit. If you'd like to learn more and find out what you need to bring, just head to DaytonOhio.gov/EITC.
And a look at some high school basketball games happening around the Miami Valley tonight. We have a recap from some of those marquee matchups next.
You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
The Dayton 24/7 Now News app, brought to you by the Jeff Schmidt Auto Group.
Good evening, I'm Matt Digby with a look at sports. With February being American Heart Month, area high schools have been holding designated reg games as part of the basketball schedule to raise awareness of the need for heart health screenings. And one of tonight's designated reg games also have first place implications in the WOAC. Let's go to Preble, Shawnee. The Arrows hosting Tri-Village, a sold-out crowd for this game. In the first quarter, Cooper Rell on the right side of the court to Braden Robinette. He puts up a 3 near the top of the key and connects. The Arrows lead in the opening minutes. Not long after that, Mason Trout dribbling inside the arc. He finds Logan Hawley, who scores from close range. Shawnee on a 13-0 run in the first quarter. Tri-Village looking to respond. A kick out to Braden Keating, open on the right wing for 3. He does not miss, and the Arrows are up 5 after 1. Second quarter, Dalton DeLong heading left, bounce pass to Justin Finkbein, who gets behind a defender. No trouble on this layup. Both teams continue to make plays later in the second. Rell receives a pass on the wing inside to Isaac Blankenship, who makes the basket from the paint. A 7-point lead at that moment. Tri-Village responding. DeLong over to Trey Sagister for 3 from the left wing. This game will go to overtime, but Preble Shawnee winning in overtime, 56-51 the final. Arrows head coach Jake Turner says hosting the rec game for heart health awareness is something they plan to do in the future.
Always come together. They're all one. It's a big family here, and anytime for any events or anything like that, they always come together full force. It's about a life, you got to always support things like this, and that's what, like I said, that's what we're about, and we'll support anything and everything we can. If we got to do it every game, we'll do something every game. And we're all about that, and that's what we do here, so excited to support that tonight.
And more scores from Friday. Some of the additional red games in our area included Bellbrook visiting Oakwood, the Lumberjacks winning by 1 to clinch the SWBL title, Meadowdale winning by 4 at home against Belmont, Alter also winning a red game of their own against McNicholas, Emmanuel Christian winning at Yellow Springs. In the GWOC, Centerville wins their Hall of Fame game with Fairmont. Among the class of 2023 in the Hall of Fame for the Elks, former Ohio State football national champion Michael Bennett. College basketball, UD men on the road tomorrow as they visit St. Bonaventure. The Flyers going for their 3rd road win of the season. They enter tomorrow coming off an overtime win over Loyola Chicago. Anthony Grant's team is right now 7-3 in the Atlantic 10, in control of their own destiny for a first round and a second round bye in the conference tournament. But the Bonnies are not far behind UD at 6-4 in league play. Now, the UD women were scheduled to host Richmond tomorrow, but that game has been canceled due to health and safety protocols within the UD team. It has been declared a no contest. It's also a busy weekend for both Wright State basketball teams. The Raider men are at Robert Morris for a Saturday evening game. Scott Nagy's team going 3 overtimes last night at Youngstown State, but former Dayton Flyer Dwayne Cohill had the buzzer beater basket in overtime, number 3, to win. The men's team currently tied for 7th in